When we're launching new products and services in entrepreneurial journalism, we need to start by learning a little bit and by diving right in. And that's why I want to speak a little bit about learning and launching. One of the great frameworks that's useful in this realm is the design thinking framework. And this focuses us on starting by discovering what's out there, discovering the kinds of people we want to serve, the kinds of problems they're facing, the kinds of lives that they lead and the schedules that they have, and the news diets that they have. We then take what we learn and interpret that. We try to find some threads of commonality, threads of patterns that we see, and identify observations that we take away from the learning that we're doing by observing people and by interacting with them. We then, in the design thinking framework, start to develop ideas and questions. How might we ... How might we ... And thinking about questions, potential ideas for things that we might address based on what we've observed and how we've interpreted what we've observed. Then we experiment. We launch little experiments. We create a little newsletter, or maybe even one article or one podcast episode, or something small that tests an idea that we have and sees if people actually respond to it, if they actually listen to it, if they like it, if we present it to them. We bring them into a room and we say, would you mind reading this, and ask them to see what they think. And that experimentation in the real world allows us to see if people in the wild will actually be interested in what we're doing and what they like about it and what they don't like about it, which parts of it they read or listen to, which parts of it they may skip over. And then we evolve. We improve that, we iterate, we try something new, we try a different format, we try to reach a different group of people. And that 5-phase process, from discovery and interpretation through ideation, experimentation, and evolution, is the 5-phase process of design thinking. And that's really how we go from learning on through launching, whether it's an entrepreneurial journalism project that's very small or whether it's something really ambitious. We think along the lines, as we're doing that learning, about 3 core areas when we're thinking about customers. We think about the pains that they have. So what's difficult for someone in their lives, whether it's their professional life, their personal life, their news consumption life. What are the pains that they feel? What's frustrating to them? Does news take too long to reach them on a particular topic? Or can they not find news in a language that they are familiar with, or in a format that they are that they prefer? If they're in a car, do they struggle to find news that they can consume in the car from the publication that they like most? Do they struggle to find any coverage of a particular topic, health-related or science-related or business-related or politics-related, that they're passionate about? So those are pains that people feel. Is there a professional need that they have, that they just can't find information about something that's professionally important to them? Or maybe they have a sickness or illness or disease and they're not finding coverage of that sickness or condition that they themselves or their children or their loved ones suffer from. We can also think about the gains that people are seeking. What are they aiming to do with their lives? What are they aiming to do in their careers or in their personal lives? What do they need to have in terms of helping their children thrive or their family members thrive or their coworkers thrive? What are the gains that they're seeking? And then finally, what are the jobs that they need to have done during their day? And by jobs to be done, we mean little things that they're trying to do, little tasks that they're trying to do throughout the day. So when I get on the subway in the morning to commute to work, I want to find something to read for that 15-minute period or 20-minute period. When I'm waiting in line, I also want some news to read. When I'm doing some research on a particular topic, I want to be able to find an answer about what's happening on that topic efficiently and with being able to trust the news source. So those are examples of jobs to be done. And when you identify some of those jobs to be done and those pains and gains, you start to have a little bit of a map for opportunities, for things that you might be able to do to address some of those, and that can lead to the ideation phase. Another crucial framework in the realm of entrepreneurial journalism is what we call the lean canvas. And this allows us to break down the complicated process of a business into 9 simple spheres, 9 simple quadrants that essentially allow us to break down all of the different elements of business into manageable chunks. We can think about what problem we're solving and what potential solutions we have in mind. We can think about how we're going to measure whether we're reaching people and how we're making progress. At the core, though, is the value proposition. What are we creating? How does this create value for people? And what can we do that's distinct? What advantage might we have based on our skills, our knowledge, our network, or other aspects of our venture? How are we going to reach people? What are the channels through which we're going to reach people? Is it through social media, for example? Is it through a newsletter? Is it through in-person events? Is it by adding content to an existing publication or an existing podcast or video channel? And who are the different kinds of people we're going to reach? Who are the customer segments we're actually going to reach? Finally, how much is this going to cost us, and what are the revenue streams that we might envision? So by breaking a business down into those 9 component parts, we can take something that's very complicated and start to have a rough sketch, a little bit of a map of how this might work as an actual business as we're getting ready to launch. This is part of the learning process. This is kind of a sketch for what our product or service might be from a business and product perspective. We were used to thinking about sketching a product from a design perspective. What is it going to look like? What's going to be on the website, or what's going to be in the newsletter? How is the page going to look? How is the app going to look? But we also want to sketch out the business, how the business is going to work together, how these different components are going to work together. And that's really what the Lean Canvas is about. And as part of the Lean Canvas, we can use some supplementary tools and little exercises to help us through the different questions that we might face along the way. So for example, we want to be able to summarize what we're actually creating and who we're creating it for. And using a value proposition template like this one allows us to narrowly and clearly explain what our product or service does and who it creates value for. So our entrepreneurial journalism program helps mid-career journalists from around the world who want to develop their own new ventures and products by offering them training, skills, networking, and experiences, and access to a network of knowledgeable people, unlike other forms of training that might not fully encompass those offerings. So that's an example of an ad-libbed value proposition for our own program. And as you can see, that's a first draft of something that will help me explain what this new product or new venture is. And you can do the same with your own product or service, your own idea. And we can offer all kinds of value propositions. We can offer something that's brand new and different, like a new kind of bot. We can offer something that works faster, performs better. Politico Pro might offer political news that's more in-depth and faster and quicker than other services. We can offer information or services that are customized. Bloomberg can customize. You can customize your news access through Bloomberg Terminal in a way you can't do with other business products and services in some cases. Can be something that's designed more nicely than other products or services. It can be something that's cheaper. It can be something that is accessible to you in a certain way. For example, World Crunch makes news accessible in various languages so that you can read highlights from Chinese newspapers or Japanese newspapers or French or German newspapers even if you don't read those languages. So it can address an accessibility challenge. And it can just be unique. It can be something that there's really no other product like it. So these are all examples of value propositions that you can offer when you create new products and services. And as you go through the process of thinking through the customer segments you're reaching and the problem you're solving and the value proposition and the solution and the channels that you're using, you take each one of these at each one at a time, and you think about different hypotheses that you have. I think, for example, that revenue might come from these 3 or 4 sources. And once you have that hypothesis, you're in a good position to run a test. So let's say you think that events, monthly events for this community of professional business professionals might be a valuable revenue source, given that they will pay to attend an event and you can get a sponsor to sponsor the event. That might be a hypothesis you have that you then test by running one event and seeing if in fact people are interested in the event, if they attend the event, if they're willing to pay for the event, if a sponsor that you reach out to shows interest. That's a way of testing an initial hypothesis that you map out on this Lean Canvas. And you can also start to map out what you think are the potential costs, what you think are the key metrics you're going to use in judging your progress, and what advantage you have that you think will help you do something different from what others are already doing. So those are the 9 components of the Lean Canvas, and that framework, again, is useful in helping you understand how your business will actually work, how the different components will interrelate with one another. And that's really at the core of learning and launching a product, is understanding how the different components of the product interrelate, how the audience actually interacts with the product potentially, what the audience and community really needs, and what it does with the product or without the product. And by learning about the community and about the potential product, and by launching and testing out those initial ideas, testing out your initial hypotheses, you're really able to take a big step forward in the entrepreneurial journalism process.